Now this is one of my blogs. I call it Sharky Makes a Hugh Jarce of Himself. When I was working for a prestige dealer, I had a problem with a rather lazy fellow salesman. I used to religiously take details of all my customers and their vehicular needs, and I kept in touch and I kept track of them through my own prospect system. My fellow salesman was the laziest person I'd ever come across, the epitome of a used car salesman, and everything in a guy that I didn't like. He would sell his mother and tell the biggest lies to close a sale. He was a new addition to our sales force and didn't fit in with our established team. Our established team, good honest lads, not the best salesman, I grant you, but it was almost like the A-team, a collection of misfits that gelled together and worked nicely. They were honest lads, no complaints, no people cocking, no people coming in saying, oh, you told me this, when that's not true. They were just good lads. By rights, the team shouldn't have worked, but we all helped each other. We had a sales manager that the other lads ignored. I'd gone there as a salesman to take a rest, which I used to do frequently. I always ended up in a management position, which I didn't really want, but couldn't refuse it because of the money. But I just wanted to go to work, do my job, go home, not have any worries, not be worrying about everybody's target, all the salesmen's targets, the parts target, the used car target, the new car target, the finance targets, model mix targets, gap targets, polish targets, accessory targets. I just wanted to go to work and worry about myself. Unfortunately, I'm also, believe it or not, I help people. It's in my nature. I don't want to, I can't help it. I want to be the loner, just look after myself, not bother about anybody else. I can't do it. So what always happens wherever I go, the salesmen end up coming to me because I had great contacts. I had a great team of honest traders who I knew would give me the best price for a used vehicle if we weren't going to retail it. And I could pick the phone up, describe it to them. They knew that I was describing it honestly, and they knew they wouldn't have to come and chip me or wouldn't have to make allowances because they knew there'd be something wrong with it. So they gave me a bid and it would enable me to deal. And then so I ended up basically being the real sales manager, but not getting paid for it. About 3 months later, I was promoted to sales manager, and you know, the kind of the rest history. But this guy, when he started, I tried to help him, but he was misdescribing vehicles to me to get a better price, and I ended up cocking up my traders, which I can't cock people up, so I then was, whatever it costs you to put that vehicle right, let me know. When I take the next vehicle in, I will knock that money off your underwrite so you don't lose out. So basically, this salesman was costing me money out of my wages for making his mistakes up. So I stopped helping him. I first noticed a problem when one of my customers had come in to sign up for a car on my day off. Now, by rights, the deal should have been mine, as I'd done all the work. I'd got the vehicle underwritten, I'd done the test drive with them, and numerous quotes for finance. All I had to do was show the sales manager my prospect sheet and the deal would be mine. I would give Sharky a little bit for signing the deal up on my day off, but by rights, the £300 or £400 commission should have been mine. I kept all my prospect sheets in alphabetical order in my desk drawer. However, I couldn't find the sheet. I knew I wasn't imagining it because I also had a diary where I put the name of the prospect, and when I'd spoken to them, going in the morning, and all the prospects for that day, I used to get out of my system, put them on my desk, and then ring them. And one by one, as I spoke to them, I'd write on the prospect sheet what the outcome was. And then I'd enter it into my diary for, if it was important, tomorrow, the day after, a week, a month, if it was like dead or they just bought one, to get in touch with them, to ask them how the car is in a week and then 3 months. And, you know, forward date them in my diary and then put them back in the system. The sheet had gone. All I had was just the names going back through my diary. Well, that could have been anybody. It just said the name. So that wasn't exactly any proof. So after a bit of detective work, I discovered that my customer had phoned the day before and another salesman had taken the call. The other salesman told the customer that there was no problem and he would sort the deal out in my absence, which he did. But then he went a little further and he broke into my desk, pinched my prospect sheet, leaving me with no claim on the deal. In salesman's terms, my colleague had sharked my deal. I'd suspected that someone had been rummaging through my prospect system on my days off, but as far as I knew, this was the first time that it had actually cost me a customer and my commission. I only had one suspect, and I couldn't afford to let it happen again. So I needed to come up with a fiendish plan to show this guy who he was messing with. I set about making a prospect sheet for a fictitious customer whose firm wanted to buy 10 vehicles, which had a combined value of £500,000. I chose a particular model because there was a promotion on at the time. Also, if you sold over your target, there was a chance that you would get to go to New York for a long weekend for Thanksgiving, all expenses paid, and the company throwing money at this holiday like there was no tomorrow. We were also getting extra commission because it was a run-out model and we needed to clear the decks before the new model came. I had to make the prospect sheet look as realistic as possible, so I fabricated precise directions to their factory. 12 months of imaginary contacts, writing in what I'd said to them, how they got in touch with me, who the contact was and what his position was in the firm as the person to deal with. I did numerous finance quotes on different vehicles. I made a telephone call log and weathered the sheet to make it look aged and well used. All that was left was to get my mate to ring on my day off to say that the directors had all agreed to the purchase now and had signed the deposit cheque. They needed to see me as soon as possible to go through the specifications and colours and give me the purchase order. Our receptionist disliked the new guy too, so she was a willing accomplice, and I'd instructed her to put the call through to Sharky. Everything went according to plan. I wasn't there to see it, it was my day off, but the other lads, who had also been on the wrong end of Sharky's dirty tricks, were in on the prank and told me that my victim had developed pound signs where his eyes used to be. He had to break into my prospect file again, but being from Liverpool, this was second nature to him, and he sat at my desk pretending to stamp brochures while he worked his lockpick and opened my drawer. His prospect sheet in hand, he told our sales manager that he was off to sign up a fleet deal that he'd been working on for ages and that he would be out all day. He then set off to drive the 120 miles to get the deposit cheque. I can only imagine his surprise when the secretary of the firm told him that there was no Mr. Jarce there and that Hugh Jarce was not the name of their MD and they knew nothing about an order for any cars. Or when he returned to the showroom and found the note on his desk saying, rearrange these words to complete a well-known saying, fuck with don't me. I'd humiliated Sharky and he left us shortly afterwards with his tail between his legs. I'd achieved a moral victory, but in truth, it probably took me as long, if not longer, to complete all the fake information as it did for him to drive the round trip to see Hugh. Now, I'm not a vindictive person, and I was very sad that he left, especially as a few weeks later, I was promoted to sales manager, and I could have really made his life a misery. Whoops. Perhaps I am a vindictive person after all. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.